Hi everyone, welcome to another tutorial. This one's going to be on Revit, and this is the Revit 101 tutorial, which is just a quick crash course into getting up to speed quite quickly using Revit, to then just give you a nice foundation to then learn some more of the advanced stuff that we've got on the website. So there'll be a few hacks, there'll be a few little cutting corners and things like that. Because what we're trying to do is we're just trying to quickly model a house that we've designed for a small scheme we've got. And let's start with the exterior walls. So we've got 8765. So architecture tab, wall, select any wall really, hit edit type, and my recommendation will be to always duplicate any of Revit's core families. So duplicate, call this external wall, then we can edit it. Now if you just hit preview, it just gives you an indication of the wall build-up. Now this is pretty much the wall build-up we'll be using anyway, maybe other than a bit of a cavity. So we've got our finish layer as brick, which is there, and then we've got our fiberglass insulation, then the core boundary, that's the structural element, is the block work, concrete masonry units, and then you've got your 12.5mm plasterboard. So strictly speaking, I would do 15mm plasterboard. And then I would just insert a cavity there. So thermal air layer. And then air is a category of material. Call that 25mm. That's just a better detail and full fill insulation. It prevents any bridging of water, through the insulation if there's any penetration there, because obviously brick is a porous material. Okay. So if we then jump back, 8765, 8765, enter. 6290 wide. 6290, enter. Hit escape to cancel an action, TR for trim. And then let's show those wall faces. Let's show those dimensions just so we know we've got our footprint spot on. Now because you draw, well, by default Revit draws walls from the center line. I knew that they'd be off. So 8765. So you just select the top wall. Make sure that it's snapping to the exterior face on both ends. And we can tap that, 8765, enter, and it moves that wall down, the wall that you've selected. 8765, yeah, 6290. So select that wall, make sure that we're snapping to the outer faces. Then we can select the dimension, 6290. It brings that wall in. Right, spot on. Okay. Just try and center that on these are elevation callouts. Now I quite like to just jump into the 3D early on, see how it's behaving. Now you can see that the exterior face is on the inside, so you just hit space to get those walls orientated the right way. Then if we go in our elevations, at the minute it doesn't really matter what elevation. We then want to select our levels. And then we just want to edit. We want to edit these levels and create some new ones so we can form floor heights. So we jump to the elevations. Now, we just show the front alley there. We've got the floor height at 2.9. So we actually want to change that to 2900. Obviously in the UK we work in millimeters. And then just rename these 00_ground. Would you like to rename corresponding views? It would be stupid not to. So I would select do not show me again and hit yes. And then see the way it changes the floor plan title there. Then 01 first floor. Then here we have an eaves height, which is 5.8. So CO for copy. Drag that up. Call that eaves. What are we on? 5.8. So 5800. And then we have a ridge line of 8.5. Oh, I copied that up by 8.5. That's better. Okay. Ridge. Nice and easy. Okay, now I appreciate our brick line is kind of halfway between there, but we'll, for the purpose of this tutorial, we'll just set the brick line to the first floor level. So then what we'll do is select all those walls. If you just click on it, right click, select all instances in view, and then top constraint, first floor with no offsets. Okay. Set the detail to medium. Right. Now let's do our internal walls. So architecture, wall. Then let's select one of these partitions as our starting point. So wall partition there, and then again edit type, duplicate, internal wall, edit its contents, right? And then we just want one board either side, so delete those two faces. Always go for 15mm plasterboard for robustness, and then you've got your 100mm internal wall. Now if I just split my screen for a sec, so I'm not constantly going back and forwards. Now, as I said, let's at the start, let's just eye it in for the purpose of speed. And to not overcomplicate matters, we won't do this recessed porch as well. We'll just keep it nice and easy, just to start us off. Just trying to get across some of the basic principles. Revit can be quite frustrating when you're learning it, so sometimes it's quite rewarding to see things come together in 3D quite quickly. It keeps you interested. If you were to do this ultra textbook, you'd just be bored out of your skull. So we're just trying to go for some quick results at the minute, just to get you in the game. Okay, now the great thing about Revit is that you can select walls and adjust them with dimensions afterwards. So you know you could call that 4.5 meters, and it manipulates the extent that wall sits. And another great one is you can drag things around. It's just Revit is a lot more intuitive than I actually first thought. Another great tool is if you hit AL for a line, you select your align position first, and then the wall you want to align afterwards. And that's a great one for speed as well, but we'll drag that back down anyway. Okay, so we've got our ground floor internal walls in, and what's good now is we've created our external and internal walls so we can reuse them later on. Okay, doors. Now, the purpose of this exercise is to produce a set of floor plans and elevations that are similar to these guys. So at the moment, we're not doing any fancy door schedules or door types or anything like that. So what we can do is afford to just use Revit's standard library of doors. If you hit space, it just messes with the position of the swing, and then we can very quickly populate our floor plan with some doors. So you want to go for 9, 10 mil doors for your general rooms, and then you can drop it to an 8, 10 for your storeroom there. It's fine that the two swings clash. Those two doors wouldn't necessarily be open at the same time. We have actually got that wall a bit further over anyway, so if we do it that way. Okay. So a quick look at our progress. Brilliant. Now let's pop a floor on. Ground bearing slab. That's, so duplicate ground slab. The great thing with Revit is some of their standard library is pretty useful. So let's have a look what we've got. So you've got your hardcore, your sand binding, your damp proofing, your concrete slab, rigid insulation, your vapor barrier, and your structural screed. Now that's pretty spot on. That's how I do a domestic ground floor. So we'll actually keep that. But you'll notice I've still duplicated it, still created my own, just so I can toy with it later on. Okay, now creating floors is based on a boundary selection. So what we want to do is select the inner faces of our external walls and hit finish. Jump back to 3D and you've got your ground build up there. Now, strictly speaking, we should be putting a foundation level in. So CO for copy. Normally top of foundation is a meter below ground level. We just call it top of foundation. Then those external walls. Now you'll notice I've selected the doors there. This is a good opportunity to just demonstrate the filter tool. Even though I've selected everything, you can then hit filter and you can deselect the doors that way. And then the base constraint can then be set to top of foundation, like so. If we jump into 3D, you can then see that the walls will fly past the floor, although annoyingly our partitions have gone with. So if we let me just select those partitions, set their base constraint to ground floor. Okay. Then quite a cool feature is you can actually put foundations in based on a wall selection. So that's quite a traditional strip foundation detail. I think that's quite cool. You can carve a section in pretty early on. If you go to view, section, set that to 1 to 50, and then you can see there you've got your external wall. If we just put the detail on, fine. You've got your ground build up, you've got your external walls, you've got your foundation detail like that. I mean, how quick is that? Okay, so ground floor done. Let's jump to our first floor. Now by default it's actually give us an underlay there. Or is it because, no, it might be because there's no floor slab actually. Okay, now up top, the exterior is finished in a render. So, wall, external wall, edit type, duplicate that, external wall, render, edit. Now, if a wall is finished in render, then there's no need to use a brick. So we change the brick to a concrete masonry unit. And then we just insert, say, a 20mm finish layer, which is a render. Don't think it has render by default. Oh no, there we go. Little 20mm render just to finish that off. Now, because this wall has a slightly different thickness, we want to set the location line to finish face interior. Hit space. We want to just make sure that we're snapping to the interior line of the external wall below. Now if we just double check that in 3D, there should be a very slight projection. Yeah, perfect. Okay, elevation. Select those walls. Give them a top constraint of it's actually 300mm. So these are indicative of floor thicknesses. Now, the idea with the design of this property is the future tenants could fit out the loft space. That's why we've added a bit of a floor thickness there. So it would actually be, what you would do in that instance is you would set the top constraint to the eaves, but then you would do a top offset of -300. Apply, and that is what applies that offset there. We could have done that with the brick wall there as well, but just for ease we're just going to snap it to the floor height. Just set the scale of these to 1 to 50 as well. What you can do is, with that in mind, is you can create a view template. Now we'll just use, no, actually let's create a new one. Elevation view. Now rather than me going through all the views and setting them to 1 to 50, I can create one template, apply that template across those views, and then I can make changes universally. So we'll just go for scale for now. Display mode, normal, level of detail medium. Let's pop some shadows on. Mustn't be enough. Mustn't be enough going on yet. Then if we go into east and then apply that elevation view, it then sets all the appropriate parameters. Saves so much time. Just drag the level indicators across so they're out the way of the drawing. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got the makings of our first floor there externally. Now the interior walls are the same, so if we go internal wall, actually, you know what, let's put a floor in just so we can hide the what do you call it, the walls below. Oh no, there we go, sorry. The underlay was turned on actually. I thought it was because there was no floor in, but while we're there, floor, and then there should be a timber one. Yeah, the good thing is with these, they're normally geared towards domestic projects. However, duplicate, edit. Now we've got our chipboard on the top, we've got our structural layer, but we haven't got a ceiling finished there. So for ease, rather than installing a ceiling, I would actually put a ceiling mechanically fixed to the joists as part of the floor builder. Plaster, 15 mil, and there we are. Okay, same again, internal face. Would you like the walls that go to this floor's level attached to the bottom? Yes. That's why it's good to create sections. You can just see how the walls are interacting. So what's happened there is the external walls have been affected by instructing the walls to hit the bottom of that floor. So if we just select that one, select all instances in project, and then just make sure you've got that top constraint. I think I need to attach them. Right, there we go. So I just hit detach and then selected the floor, so they're now detached from that floor where the internal walls are attached. Okay, so if we just snap to half the screen, and again, just quickly iron our internal walls. The great thing about Revit is you can edit very easily after the fact. So that's why we're just throwing the walls in quite willy-nilly at the minute. Okay. And as previous, pop the doors on. Just use the standard ones, 9, 10. Go for 9, 10 where possible. Drag that down. Pull that down there. En suite, there's no need for a 9, 10 though, so we'll go for an 8, 10. Okay, getting there. Let's just make our lives easy. Select that one. Select all instances in view. Up to eaves, that's fine, but there was an offset, top offset of minus 300 if you recall from the exterior walls. Okay, there's our first floor in. Now, in order to form the roof, we need to activate, if you notice on the elevations, you'll notice that the ground and the first are highlighted blue, and all the other levels are highlighted black. That means that they're not visible in the project browser. So what we want to do is we want to go view. Let's just maximize this window. View, plan views, floor plan. And if you hit eaves, it then turns the eaves floor level on. We want to give this an underlay so we can see the walls below. And then what we want to do is pop a roof on. So again, basic pitched, that's fine. Although, is that a roof tile? Let's see what the makeup of this one is. Roof and tile. Yeah, that's the one we want to go for. So duplicate. Pitch roof, okay. Then we'll go for our external walls. Finish. Go into 3D view. Now you'll notice that the pitch on this is just a dual pitch. It's not like a hip roof. It's got gable ends on it. So if we go back in, edit footprint, on the two gables, you select the two lines and then untick define slope, and then it gives you the flat end effect that we're going for. However, again, you'll notice that there's a slight projection for the roof as well. So if we just go back in the eaves plan, select the roof, edit footprint, we just want to move that up, say by 200 mil, just so it projects. And there we are. Now you'll notice again the base of the roof sits on that -300 offset. So you can just hit offset from level -300. And there we are. Now, obviously we've got a gaping hole there. So all we do is select the side wall. Attach top and base. And attach it to the roof, like so. Repeat that for all the first floor exterior walls. And there we are. Really, really quick way of modelling a house so far anyway. So roof's on. Strictly speaking, it's a slate tile.